Hi, movies recapped here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I will clarify a 2017 Japanese true-to-life dream film, called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. The film begins in a room, with a chronic executioner, named Angelo, who's right now being pursued by the police. Not long later, the police bust into the room, however the executioner has effectively gotten away. En route to get away, the executioner meets a strange man, who unexpectedly shoots a bolt through his neck. As the man recounts a few words, the man salutes him. Out of nowhere, the executioner revived with the water blasting close to him. Along these lines, the police figure out how to get him, and afterward cross-examine him. Angelo replies with quiet, as he understands he can handle water. He then, at that point, kills the watchman and escapes once more, presently with a weird water animal that he brought. The scene proceeds to a high school understudy, named Koichi, getting ready to go to class. On his way, he's halted by delinquent understudies. They power Koichi to give them his cash. Abruptly a man named Josuke passes by and found one of the reprobates. The delinquent, then, at that point, affronts him, saying that he has idiotic hair. Josuke ends up being irate, and shockingly, he has power and thumps them. The reprobates get injured severely, however unusually the injuries on them are gone, as Josuke leaves. The reprobates then, at that point, flee frightened of Josuke. Turns out this power shouldn't be visible to other people, as Koichi didn't see Josuke's power. In the recreation area, Angelo proceeds with his activity. He utilizes the water animal to kill a man and control the other one. Returning, Josuke meets the controlled man, presently with a blade, holding somebody as prisoner. The controlled man then, at that point, affronts him by saying his hair is moronic. Josuke ends up being furious and utilizes his ability to punch through the prisoners and his stomach. However, at that point once more, the injuries are gone and nothing happened to them. The water animal then, at that point, shows up and flees from the scene. Josuke is stunned by the animal and afterward leaves. Along these lines, Angelo makes Josuke as his next target. Around evening time, the puzzling man shows up again and shoots a bolt at an outsider. This time, the outsider isn't revived and afterward he leaves. The following day, Koichi meets Jotaro. Also he requests that Koichi carry him to Josuke. Jotaro then, at that point, meets Josuke, and he professes to be Josuke's nephew. Jotaro tells him that he will get his dad's legacy. However, at that point, Josuke rejects the legacy. Jotaro additionally inquires as to whether he's been seeing things. Tragically, Josuke overlooks him, also leaves. Jotaro attempts to stop him, yet he misconstrues and afterward plans to assault him. Turns out Jotaro likewise has power. He utilizes his ability to stop the time and counter Josuke's assault. He then, at that point, clarifies that this power is designated stands. However, by and by, Josuke says he's not keen on the other stand clients and leaves. In the meantime, Angelo has been after the strange man. The strange man welcomes him to eat together. Angelo asks the man what he ought to do subsequent to getting the power. The baffling man then, at that point, answers that he can do anything he needs. Accordingly he keeps on hunting Josuke. In the interim, Josuke is eating with his mom, Tomoko, and his granddad, Ryohei, who goes out to be a cop. Ryohei discusses that he is so glad to have the option to eat together regular. The following day, Jotaro understands that the killing done by Angelo is consistently close to water. In this way he understands that Angelo's stand involves water as power. A couple of seconds after the fact, Angelo shows up at Josuke's home. The downpour pours down and Angelo orders his stand to kill the whole family. Inside, Tomoko requests that Josuke eat with her, however he rejects. Then, at that point, her mom drinks water before she goes, and abruptly Josuke sees something abnormal. He promptly implements his ability to get the animal inside his mom. Turns out Josuke's choice is right, that the stand is inside his mom, and he figures out how to trap it into a jug. From that point forward, Tomoko left. Josuke illuminates Jotaro that he got the stand. Along these lines, Jotaro is coming to stand up. Josuke then, at that point, goes to the washroom. Simultaneously, Ryohei comes to take an alcohol, yet it seems like he can't track down the container. Seeing this, the stand changes into a container of alcohol, and afterward Ryohei takes the container with him. At the point when Josuke's back, abruptly there's a noisy commotion emerging from his granddad's room. He surges there, however tragically, his granddad is as of now injured from the stand's assault. Josuke doesn't appear too bothered by any stretch of the imagination. It turns out his power is that he can re-establish anything crushed spirit to typical. They then, at that point, go to battle Angelo's stand. The stand bubbles himself and becomes steam, so he can enter Josuke's body without any problem. They go to another space to keep away from the steam, however suddenly, the stand previously arranged this as the room is filled with fog from the air purifier. The stand begins to assault Josuke from inside, yet shockingly, Josuke previously anticipated this would occur, and he draws out the stand inside elastic gloves. They then, at that point, go outside to Angelo's area. Turns out the harm done to the stand additionally influences the client, as Angelo is thrashed also. To rebuff him, Josuke doesn't carry him to the police or kill him, however Josuke blends him in with a tremendous stone close to them, and traps him until the end of time. He then, at that point, goes to his granddad, however unusually his granddad hasn't woken up. Turns out his granddad is currently dead before the power actuates, and Jotaro's power can re-establish whatever is broken, not to resurrect a dead individual. Before the memorial service, Tomoko recounts to a tale about his granddad. Long-term prior, his granddad couldn't insure a secondary school young lady. From that point forward, he faults himself as a bombed cop, never attempted to get advancement, and frantically needs to insure the city. At the memorial service, Josuke sees the strange man and chooses to follow him. Koichi sees this and furthermore follows Josuke. They show up at a major chateau, where the secretive man uncovers himself as Keiicho. His sibling, Akayasu, assaults Koichi. In some way or another, Keiicho figures out how to land a bolt shot to him. Akayasu then, at that point, attempts to prevent Josuke from recuperating Koichi. Left with no decision, they participate in a fight. Josuke at last understands the stand Akayasu has, that is to eradicate space with the right hand. Along these lines, Josuke avoids the following approaching assaults, and the assaults misfires to Akayasu. From that point forward, Josuke observes that Koichi is missing, furthermore chooses to head inside. He meets again with Keiicho, who asserts that Koichi isn't picked. Out of nowhere, Akayasu returns and Keiicho quickly assaults both Josuke and Akayasu, saying that Akayasu isn't required any longer. Keiicho continued to assault until Akayasu got injured lethally. Josuke additionally gets injured and afterward carries Akayasu to withdraw. Josuke gets some information about his sibling's stand, yet Akayasu rejects, tragically him. Shockingly, instead of killing him, he recuperates Akayasu's injuries as a whole. Akayasu is befuddled, what's more inquires as to why Josuke would recuperate his injuries. Josuke then, at that point, answers essentially by saying he had not a great explanation to kick the bucket. Josuke likewise uncovers that he can't recuperate his own injuries. Josuke then, at that point, returns to something similar area. Akayasu additionally comes and assists with carrying Koichi to the foyer. Josuke then right away recuperates Koichi. From that point forward, Akayasu leaves. Unexpectedly there's a gathering of little warriors who come there, which ends up being Keiicho's stand. Josuke then, at that point, attempts to shield both Koichi furthermore him from the assaults. Not long later, Keiichiro comes back once more, presently bringing his whole power. Shockingly, Koichi can now see the stand. Knowing this, he powers Koichi to show his stand. He then, at that point, cuts Koichi, which makes him alarm and incidentally brings an egg. From that point forward, he utilizes each of his powers to assault them. Josuke diverts every one of the projectiles that are taken shots at him. To complete the assaults, Keiichiro shoots rockets at Josuke, and afterward he drops. Seeing this makes Koichi irate and he unwittingly enacts his power and his stand hatches from the egg. Tragically, the stand can sit idle. Josuke out of nowhere awakens and re-establishes the rockets. Later he shoots the rockets back at Keiichiro, which hits Keiichiro, and every one of his powers vanish. Keiichiro runs higher up and afterward both Josuke and Koichi pursue him. There, they met a beast-like individual. Keiichiro lets them know that the beast is his dad, who is as of now past saving and forgot everything. He has attempted such countless ways of killing him, yet, none of it influences his dad. The explanation he utilizes the bow is to get somebody with a stand that has the ability to kill his dad. Josuke saw a crate and afterward re-established it back, where the beast observed the old family image of themselves. Turns out the beast actually recalls his family. From that point forward, Josuke offers to recuperate his dad, yet Keiichiro should give him the bow and bolt to him. Akayasu then, at that point, comes and accommodates with his sibling. Not long later, an unknown stand client assaults Akayasu with the stand. However, sadly Koichi protected him from being assaulted. Not long later, the stand explodes and from that point forward, the bow and the bolt are no more. Toward the finish of the film, Josuke converses with Jotaro, saying that he will proceed with his granddad's exertion, that is to secure the town. Akayasu and Koichi additionally approach Josuke to help him, as they go to class together. Buy in to observe more recordings like this, turn on warnings, and pass on a like to take care of the channel. Thank you for watching.